Okay, and hello. My name is Chris Malik, and I'm going to try to record some commentary for Les Licornets, however you pronounce that. I've had a lot of requests on the Battlefront forums and YouTube about how do I achieve missions without taking so many casualties, and to be honest, I don't know, but I figured I would enlighten you all as to my planning and battle preparations, because I think that your planning, even though once you make contact with the enemy, your plan becomes useless. I think planning before you actually engage is probably the most important thing you can do. So the first thing you always want to do before you start a battle is read the briefing. And let's see, 8 successful assault on Georgia Ridge. Yeah, we did that already. Okay, 2505 will attack German forces astride the highway to the north of the town, while forces of 2-8 infantry cross the highway behind them. Alright, so we're attacking along the highway. Dog and Easy companies are ordered to attack the highway. In support, they have 745th Tank Battalion, 8 Company 1st Platoon. So we got a platoon of Shermans, and we have some mortars and heavy howitzers on call. Composition and strength of enemy forces is unknown. We're expecting company strength and have at least one assault gun. I'm going to do. They probably got like 3 or 4. I'd be surprised if they didn't have a full platoon of assault guns. Anyway, Dog Company will advance on enemy defensive positions to the left, while Easy Company attacks at the right. Destroy enemy forces and clear and occupy the Les Licornets objective through 1 hour to carry out your orders. So we got a whole hour, which is plenty of time. And we got D and E companies both. And one thing you always want to be sure of when you go into a battle is what your victory locations are, your victory conditions, and how many points they're worth. Because if you look at this, we got 500 points for control and destroy enemy forces, and we only get 100 points for any casualties less than 10%. So, to be honest, if you control the location and destroy at least half the enemy forces, you should come out with a minor victory or better. So, we want to shoot for just winning the battle, not just, doing everything all at once. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, let's see. First thing we want to do is take a bit of a terrain survey just to see what we're dealing with. Let's see, we got a little blue setup zone here. Who is that? That is the Regiment HQ. Oh, we have engineers too. Engineers are great, worth their weight in gold. Okay, we've got Dog Company here, and that means Easy Company here, and we have our platoon of Shermans. So, what we have here is a map divided by a highway with hedgerows on both sides. And one thing you want to do before you start the battle is locate hedgerow gaps, because you need to know where you can move through. And, hold on. Okay, let's start again. Let's see. Sorry about that, I had to go do something. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, hedgerow gaps. Anyway, it's a good idea before you start the battle to kind of fly the camera around, look at the hedgerows, see if there's any access points through them. One there. One there, because if you can move through hedgerows to wherever you need to go without using explosives or engineers, that's a good thing, because like I said, engineers are worth their weight in gold, and you don't want to waste them just making a gap where you can easily find a path through. Now this map is pretty interesting because of this road right here, and I was expecting, whenever you hear about a map being bisected by a road, usually there's a little dogleg in it, and you might find an anti-tank gun covering the whole length of the road, but as you can see, this road goes straight off the edge of the map with no doglegs. One thing you could do is use the road to prevent enemy forces from moving from one side of the map to the other. So if you park a tank, say back here, leave them opened up so they can see all the way down the road, they should be able to cut the road rather effectively. But we'll deal with that later. Anyway, this right-hand side of the road is rather strange, but there is one noticeable little spot, and that's this hedgerow gap right here. Now, I need to assume, at least, that there's going to be Germans in this first hedgerow line, because if they're further back here, then that would allow me room to maneuver and swap forces around, maybe, and it would give a little bit too much latitude. So, what I figured though is this little gap right over here, if you can run straight across this gap without getting killed, and hunker down right next to this hedgerow, any German forces in this hedgerow right here won't be able to engage. So what it means is you can run straight across this gap, into this hedgerow, blast a gap right here, and then use this hedgerow here as cover while you attack the Germans behind this hedgerow, and you could effectively dominate this whole field from this position, except if there's any enemy positions down here, but we can deal with that later. So that's one route of access that you can use to get into the next field. Let's see, looking at this field, there are two hedgerow gaps through here, which is nice, but this is obviously going to be defended. Stupid not to. It's rather sunken, there's just tall grass, and there's no cover going across, so unless we shoot a lot of smoke in this hedgerow here, we're not going to be able to move across. But not without suppressing or destroying enemy forces in place. But another thing to look at is the Occupy objective itself. It is rather large, and you can enter it from both sides of the map. But I do believe the briefing is correct in one area, and that is this side should simply be used to suppress the enemy while you make your main attack up the right-hand side. There's a lot more cover, there's more avenues of approach. If you look at this left-hand side, aside from this sunken lane right here, there's almost, once you get to this hedgerow, there is no cover between here and the other side of this field. So what I'm probably going to do, as an initial idea, is just put a very small covering force, maybe 2 platoons, up on this line here, and then I'm going to take the 3rd platoon of Dog Company over here, and I'm going to transfer it over to this side to help push this attack. Because looking at it, this side of the road here is really, it looks horrible. I mean, unless you're able to advance into this wood, it's really the only cover you have except for that building, but I can only assume that that building is either occupied or it's easily engageable from the other side, which certainly looks like it is. Any Germans in this hedgerow line right here can fire on a building without being engaged by most, if not all, of your units down here. So, I think my overall plan is simply going to cut the road with a tank, maybe a couple of machine guns. We're going to cut the road here, so we can't go from one side to the other, or the Germans can't go from one side to the other, and then we're just going to transfer forces from this side of the map over to here, and then press our attack into these fields. And the objective is an Occupy objective, so eventually we're going to need to enter the objective, probably from down here, and sweep our way through. Because I think if we can get on the flank of any Germans defending this line, or this line here, then we should be able to easily destroy them. Especially if we can keep them occupied from the front. So that's one of the most important things you can do while you're planning your battle, is do a thorough terrain survey. Make sure you know the map about as well as you can. And also, one of the things you can do is look at the map from the enemy's perspective and think about how you might defend it if you were in charge of defending it. See, I would assume that there's enemy positions here, enemy positions along this hedgerow here, across here, and they might have maybe a couple of outposts Probably maybe a spotter in this building. I don't know, I'd probably put a scout team or something in here, or maybe a few scout teams and a light machine gun here, maybe an anti-tank gun, who knows. I mean, it would certainly help the German defense if they could take out one or two of my tanks before I get through this hedgerow. So I'm going to plan, assuming that enemy forces would be in those positions. So what I'm going to do next is you need to review your own troops. You need to know what you have and what they can do. So what I like to do, it takes time, but I just hit the plus key and I run through my actual table of organization. So I got the commander here, and this headquarters team here, and then as we go up, we go platoon HQ. This is the engineer platoon. What I like to do is just grab them and move them. Oh, okay, he's on the other side of the road. So I have an engineer squad on both sides. It's going to be different. That's a light machine gun team. The bazooka team here. We have the engineer squad.
Listen up!
The thing is, when you read the briefing, and the briefing tells you what troops you have, sometimes it's kind of hard. Okay, here's the company HQ. Sometimes it's kind of hard to actually visualize what your units are and what they can do. So what I like to do is I like to group them by company and platoon. So just by looking at them at a glance, you can tell what they're all about. Mortar team and a machine gun team. Second team, and one nice thing about these airborne squads is they have a lot of different weapons at their disposal. You see, these guys don't have a bazooka team or machine gun teams. Instead, never mind, there's one bazooka team there. Let's see. They have a marksman, they have a bazooka. Machine guns or light machine guns, well, so-called light machine guns. Putting a stock on a machine gun doesn't make it light. But they should, can they deploy? No. Alright, so they can shoot wherever they're at. They don't need to deploy. This makes them a little more mobile than the machine gun, the medium teams. And these guys are set up almost the same way. And, oh, there's Turnbull. Lieutenant Turnbull in his platoon. He survived, his XO didn't. But these are the guys I had in the other mission, and I managed to preserve most of them. I only took a few casualties in Turnbull's stand, and they have a BAR team instead of the light machine guns. So they have 2 BARs.
Pay attention.
I'm probably going to send these guys across the road and have them reinforce the other company, because BAR teams are very mobile, and they have decent firepower as well. Not as much as an actual machine gun, per se, but pretty good. Anyway, now we're across here. Let's check out Easy Company. These guys I haven't used yet, so they should be at full strength. Support and a bazooka team, same as the other guys.
Take a look at that.
Has a mortar. One thing I've noticed is we have a lot of on-map mortar support.
Take a look at that.
So I'm going to need to set them up in advance.
Pay attention. Yes, sir.
Squad bazooka, mortar, and machine gun. I know it seems tedious, but making sure you understand what forces you have is a good thing. Reading the briefing, it says you have 2 companies of airborne. You don't really know what that means until you actually get down and look at it. Look at the airborne squad. They have a bunch of different kinds of weapons. They've got 2 guys with Thompson machine guns, they've got a grenade launcher, they've got 3 rifles, a Springfield rifle, which is nice, and they have a machine gun, an actual bipod mounted machine gun squad instead of a BAR. troops are just slightly different than regular infantry. They have less men per squad, but overall they have more firepower because of that machine gun than regular infantry. And there's also a light machine gun team per platoon, which is nice.
Quiet down. Let's get some noise.
And they also have 60
Yes,
millimeter
sir.
mortars,
Pay
which
attention.
I'm probably going to put on a fire plan right at the start.
Okay, Sergeant.
Let's see, we got 2 guardians,
Did you see that?
marksmen, they got a tank, and they also carry a couple of demo charges in these airborne squads, which is good, which means engineers, while they're important, they're not strictly necessary to blast gaps and hedgerows. But God, look at all of that. Yeah, these engineer guys got tons of demo charges, but I'm going to try to save some, because I know in the next battle, these guys are going to carry on again. So if you use up all your demo charges in the first battle, you're going to have trouble moving around in the next one. Until you get Sherman Tank or Rhino attachments, then your engineer squads are really the only way you have to move around the map. So once you got a grip on what forces you have, let's see, the range here, this is probably more than a bazooka's effective range. Let's see, range 250 meters. So if I put him
Listen
here,
up.
I hit target. How far is 250 meters? Right about there. So even in that sunken road, the bazookas can only reach at a maximum as far as this first hedge. And I doubt there's going to be any German tanks far forward than that. I mean, they said they had some assault guns with them. I'd probably put assault guns back here in this hedgerow, or maybe back here in the corner, giving it space to move between the hedgerows, through the hedgerow gaps. So on this side, bazookas are not strictly necessary. So the right-hand side of the map has much shorter sight lines, so they could probably use a bazooka team more than this side. So I'm going to move them over there. Let's see, we got HQ support, we got Dog Company HQ. I'm going to leave the HQ on this side and provide C2. I'm going to take HQ support and I'm going to send him with the bazooka team. And let's take a look at our platoons. This engineer team right here, they have the bazooka team, and as I said, they're not strictly necessary on this side of the map. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send all my engineers off to the right. What's the sight line of this house? I can't really see anything, so I can't really use the HQ as a spotter, so I'm going to send him. Go there. I'm going to send him with it. Let's see, first platoon here, they have a machine gun team. Have a couple of platoons. They do have a bazooka, so I mean I could hold this bazooka guy in reserve. Split off the anti-tank team. I could simply bury him in the corner over here behind these trees and just have him hide. And if the German assault gun does actually move into range, which I doubt, then I could have them open fire from the flank. So I'm going to keep first platoon over here. And they're going to provide a base of fire. My mortars are going to set.
Yes, sir.
I'll leave them here, but these light mortar teams. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try using mortars in the direct fire role. I had considered using them to lay down a preparatory barrage at the very beginning. You can have your mortars. You can have your platoon commanders call in mortar strikes as if they were artillery pieces, and I was just going to lay down mortar rounds on all these places. But mortars in the direct fire mode are much more effective. So I'm going to have my mortars up on the line with everybody else. Okay, we got two squads here. One just broke off the anti-tank team. Now if I go here, no, okay. I thought I might be able to detach the actual sniper team. Should reattach in a minute or two. Let's see, what do we got?
Quiet down. Let's get some noise discipline here.
Let's split off the assault team. There we go. 2 submachine guns and a rifle, which is good. And the remaining team has machine gun, carbine, and round. So we have a machine gun team for long range. We have a submachine gun team for close range with a couple of demo charges, and we have an anti-tank team. Now that's one thing I like to do is split my troops into teams at the start of the battle, so one thing I don't have to do it later, and secondly, there we go. Okay.
Hey, take a look at that.
Now if I just split the teams, no, I'm going to do an assault team. I like to group my submachine guns together because it gives a lot of close range firepower. I can put these guys on, say, a 100 meter cover arc and leave them there, and that way if any enemy troops come within that 100 meters, they're going to get 2 Thompsons right in the face.
Did you see that?
Which is pretty nice. On this team left, we've got the marksman and 2 rifles, and we have the machine gun team. So what could we do? If I split the teams directly, what I'm going to end up with is 3 rifles and the marksman, and then I'm going to end up with the grenade launcher, the carbine, and the machine gun. But if I could split that down a little further, if I detach a scout team, I'm probably just going to go 2 rifles, which could leave the marksman all by himself, but it might form as a single team and not let me split it any farther. Let's check.
Okay, Sergeant.
Okay, I got a carbine and a rifle, and then I've got basically what amounts to a heavy weapon squad here, with the marksman and the machine gun. And they can't split any further either. I guess that'll be alright.
Now listen up.
So, I would probably have
Now listen up.
a screening force looking like this. Now, the best line of sight over here is down on the left. Maybe if we could get up the elevation slightly, and it'll allow me to look through these fences up ahead and engage enemies beyond them. But if you notice, there's a fold in the ground right here, which means this area right here that's slightly higher elevation than the rest of it, which affords a little better visibility.
Okay, Sergeant.
So if I'm going to park my machine gun team, I'm probably going to put him right there. Machine gun teams are at their best if they can deploy with a long line of sight and a little bit of an elevation advantage. But not so much. You don't want to turn grazing fire into plunging fire, but what you want them to do is be able to shoot at any targets that your spotters detect in the next hedgerow, which they probably won't detect any, because troops hidden in hedgerows usually aren't spotted until they open fire. So what I'm going to need to do is say I'm going to use this, I don't know why it says light machine gun, this is my scout team, but I'll probably use my scout team just to do a little recon by fire, just pop a few shots off of the hedgerow, hopefully the Germans respond, and then my whole platoon here can open fire on any units they detect. And if they do have an assault gun back there, I'll probably just pull back behind the road and hide in this hedgerow until I figure out a plan for dealing with it or call in some artillery. Anyway, what do we got left? We got Turnbull's platoon here, and as I said, I'm going to send him with all the rest of the Easy Company guys. I guess I could leave the mortar here, but no, I'm going to have another mortar with the other platoon. Turnbull's whole platoon there. So we are shifting quite a bit of force from this left-hand side of the map over to the right. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to try to overwhelm its flank and advance into his rear as rapidly as possible. So what I need is force to engage him in the front. I need extra troops to push in on the flank and overwhelm it. And then I need even more troops after that to exploit whatever gaps I make, hopefully straight towards the back of the map, and take the remaining enemy positions in the flank. And hopefully we'll be able to do that. Now the real question is, what am I going to do with this platoon? I got a thin line, I got a thin screening line over here. However, we do have a possible covered route along this hedgerow straight in towards these buildings, which could conceivably lend the ability to stretch out on this line and be able to take the Germans over here under more accurate fire at closer range. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this platoon in reserve. I'm just going to spread them out in the field.
Cover the flanks!
And I'm going to leave them here. There we go. So on this left-hand side, my plan in broad strokes is to move this screening force up to this hedgerow, spread them out a lot, so any high explosive rounds coming in won't cause a whole mess of casualties. And basically, our job is to find out what the Germans have on the other end of the field, and if we can push up this road towards those buildings and make a go of it, I'll have a whole platoon with which to do that.
Yes, sir.
The remainder of the force over here is going to get across the road as quickly as possible and into the other side of the hedgerow. Now, in order to make sure they do that, let's see, who's my best tank? We got a veteran +1 here, veteran -1 up here. I don't think we can take the casualties. I don't know why he's -1. It's not very good, I guess. Then we got First Platoon HQ, which is regular without any bonuses or negatives. Now this guy is a veteran +1, but his status is -1 OK, so that means there's something preventing him. I don't know what it is, but I'm probably going to use this guy. So order him to open up. And hopefully this allows me to move him into the road. And I'm going to move him into the road just ahead of this hedgerow gap with the road in, which will allow me to move my troops ahead, and if I have to, I can just tell him to pop smoke, and he'll smoke this front of the road right here, preventing the enemy from noticing this entire platoon plus reinforcements moving across the road to this side.
Secure the flank.
And it will also allow him to cut the road and prevent enemy troops from moving ahead. And if he has to, can also provide support to this platoon on the left, because there is a gap right here with a road and a gate that he can push through and come up to this gap and fire any enemy position down here, which is good. So this tank is going to be assigned to that job. He can cut the road, and if he has to, he can move over and assist. The rest of my tanks, there's no hedgerow gaps big enough through here in order to accommodate a tank. But one little thing you might not know is if you find a hedgerow section with a tree in it, if you order your engineers to blast their way through, it will automatically blast a double-wide hedgerow gap, which will allow a tank to drive through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to park a tank at likely crossing points. Let's green, so
Pay attention.
I'm going to put him down the end, so he's hopefully out of the line of fire of the big German guns. Take my second list.
Okay, Sergeant.
He's a veteran -1, but I'll take a veteran over a regular, so I'm going to put him right here. And always tell your tanks to open up. You can close them up later, it's no problem, but I I'd rather have the superior spotting capabilities available from the very beginning. The tank opened up can spot
Okay,
that
Sergeant.
as well as a sniper team.
Did you see that?
While they're closed up, they're usually blind in any direction except directly in front of them. Because the commander has binoculars and he has a vision range that's slightly better because he's elevated off the ground. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the platoon commander behind this troop here. So that's going to be how my tanks are set up. Now once again, the idea behind these tanks is they're going to provide most of the direct fire support against any initial enemy positions in these hedgerows. Hopefully we can overwhelm them quickly and allow me room to maneuver. Now, as I just stated, I'm going to need engineers down at this end because I'm hoping to blast my gaps through this side and then straight across the shortest part of the field, which will expose us and be fired at least now. Now let's see. Carbines and Thompsons. So if I pick an assault team, let's pick carbines and Thompsons, get the squad leader. And they're going to have 4 demo charges. If I pick a new assault team, using carbine and rifle with 4 demo charges, which is good. And then we're going to have 3 rifles with 6 demo charges. These guys are going to be my primary hedgerow busters, so I'm going to put them behind that tank. These guys are just going to kind of scatter right here. I'm not going to try to use all 3 teams. Like I said, engineers are worth the weight in gold, so if I have to lose a team to a suicidal action, I'd rather just lose one team as opposed to the entire squad. Which, if you notice in my last battle at Hamburger Hemo, I actually lost an entire engineers squad trying to take that place, and that was a serious blow. Honestly, I really got pissed off when that happened. Anyway, now the question becomes, what am I going to do with my platoons? I have a light machine gun team. The rest of the engineers, including the platoon leader, are coming along, so I'm going to have this machine gun team post up and roll around the engineers. Let's see, what's the line of sight? There's one thing you have to do occasionally is put the camera down to high level and just have a look at the battlefield right now. Check the lines of sight. From here, it actually looks really good. So, I'm going to put the machine gun there. Let's see, a bazooka team would go good here too. I'm going to leave one action spot in between them just to make sure that any high explosive rounds hitting this area might not. I mean, there's always a chance. The one thing about this game is that the fidelity of explosion modeling and shrapnel is really good. I've seen artillery rounds impact directly on one squad, not hit anybody in that squad, and yet cause casualties in the squad next to it. So, but at the very least, you should try to spread out your teams a little bit to avoid unnecessary casualties. I'm going to put the commander on the other side of the tank here. The tank's probably going to draw a lot of fire, so I'm going to leave a couple of spaces in between. And then we have the HQ support team. Most of the time I use these guys as medics or spotters because they don't have a radio. If the company headquarters actually gets killed, the commander and the assistant get killed, then their radio will disappear and these guys will gain radio because they'll become the new commander. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but either way. But they do have rifles and Thompson.
Okay, Sergeant.
And that hedgerow on the other side is within easy Thompson submachine gun range. So most of the time I'll put these guys in the line. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to hold hold my commander back, and I'm going to put the HQ team
Okay,
in the
Sergeant.
line so we can shoot a bit. And we got a machine gun here, so it might be nice to put a machine gun right here.
Yes, sir.
Stick one there. And these squads also have light machine guns too, so I'm probably going to divide the squad. He's got the bazooka, 2 Thompsons, grenade launcher. So yeah, we're going to put an anti-tank team there too. So split off the anti-tank.
Okay, Sergeant.
And put him next to the machine gun. His job is just going to be to hide until tanks are spotted. So he shouldn't draw any fire himself. And hiding behind a hedgerow offers really good cover as well. So he should be okay there. Split off the assault team. Some quick rapid firepower.
Take a look at that.
Put him there. And what we're left with is kind of a weapons team. I'm going to move that there.
Yes,
That's
sir.
another machine gun looking out over this hedgerow. The mortar team is also important, especially if you're using it in direct fire like I'm going to be, but I'm going to drop him here up the flank. Got good field view everywhere except to the right. Down this is the hedgerow, but that's right. What is the minimum? The minimum range of this mortar is 42 meters. If you actually look, 42 meters is not there. So I mean, he can easily hit any targets in that hedgerow straight across. Drop direct fire mortar rounds directly on top of him, which should break up German positions rather quickly.
Listen up.
Now what we're left with is the platoon commander. We want the platoon commander in a position where he can provide C2 to the rest of the platoon. So I'm going to stick him in the middle. And we got 1 squad left. Once again, just put off the assault team. So we got good rapid fire. I'm going to split off. If I do an anti-tank team, it's going to be 2 rifles. Might as well do a scout team.
Did you see that?
These guys are going to be on the other side of the hedgerow with the tank. They're just going to provide spotting. Don't really have the firepower. This is the bulk of the firepower of that squad right there. Actually, what I can do is I'm going to keep them all together. So I'm going to put that here. Alright, so looking down this line, we're a little bit light on this left-hand side, but that's going to be filled in by engineers. That's the commander, there's the engineers. It's going to be filled in by an extra bazooka team and a squad consisting of rifles, carbines, submachine gun, and lots of demo charges. But I don't think the Germans are going to come charging across that field. So we might use the company HQ just to kind of fill it in. Actually, it seems a very protected position. It's right down here. As you can see, the terrain kind of dips over here. And on the other side, it kind of dips out a bit, which leaves him not exposed all the way out to about there, where we can see the hedgerow here to there. So we've got a very narrow frontage here, which should leave him somewhat protected, but we can provide a little bit of extra firepower against that point. So there we go. We've got a pretty good line set. The tank is supposed to provide the bulk of the firepower to this position, just to make sure people don't die if the tank blows up. Slide these guys just a little bit further away. If he gets hit by a shell and has a catastrophic explosion, which Shermans sometimes do, I don't want too many of my men getting caught in a massive explosion and getting killed. So, leave a bit of a gap in between and allow the Sherman to just kind of lay down its firepower against that hedgerow. So looking at this, you just gotta go down the line and you look, we got a large amount of firepower. Lots of machine guns, bazookas,
Okay, Sergeant.
plenty of rifles, another machine gun, another bazooka, more submachine guns, another machine gun, more small arms, more submachine guns,
Okay, Sergeant.
marksman, and another machine gun with a grenade launcher, and mortar, and a couple of guys over here. I mean, we've got a lot of firepower
Okay.
sitting on this line. Which is good, because if I had to pick a spot that would be the most heavily defended in the enemy position, at least by the starter, it would be this hedgerow right here. I mean, they'd be absolute idiots not to park at least platoon level firepower in this hedgerow, because if they allow me straight across this field without opposing me, then this map is pretty much mine already. I mean, that allows me room to maneuver to wherever I want, and it allows me room to cross the road down here and get to this hedgerow, or allow me to move down the road between the German lines and exploit any gaps I can find. So I'm planning that there's going to be German forces in that hedgerow. And that's a logical inference, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, who knows. But that's what I'm going to start with. Now, what I need is another platoon cover this side of the hedgerow here, and they can also fire at this position as well. And I'm going to leave a third platoon in reserve to provide the actual flanking force. Let's see. That's the company. So what do we got? We got second platoon of veterans. I'm going to try to pick my highest quality platoon to provide the flanking force. We got veteran officers with regular men, it seems. How about these guys in front? It'd be terrible if we had a veteran platoon and I put them in on line leaders. These guys are all regulars. There's a few veterans scattered here and there. So it seems most veteran officers with regular men. These two platoons, this mortar, light machine gun, squad, they're both kind of set up the same. So it's really going to come down to which leaders are best in each platoon. We've got a -2 on his mortar team. +1, -2 on his mortar team as well. -1 okay on the light machine gun. He's got a +1 squad and a +1 squad, and these guys don't. So these guys are going to become my flanking force, while these guys are going to hold the line. Now we got a mortar team there. We do have a hedgerow gap there. You have to assume that gaps in the hedgerows are easily targetable by the Germans. They might even have a preparatory barrage there. I don't even know if they have artillery or not, but that's one thing we need to be very careful of. Already rounds start dropping on the first turn, we need to immediately run backwards to it as far as we can to get out of the way of the army. There's another tank there, so I don't really want 2, 3, 4. We're going to leave 3 or 4 action spaces just to make sure my boys don't get picked off. Machine gun team right next to the mortars. Because mortars, even though mortars are important, one thing that I really like about mortars is that it's 5 guys, all of them armed with carbines. Carbines at ranges like this are absolutely fantastic. They can lay down a lot more fire than a regular team of rifles. So close range, actually it might be worth it to put them further down, because if there are Germans in this hedge, they'll be at a closer range. So we'll do kind of drop them down there. Machine gun team there, platoon HQ in the middle here. And I'm just going to split up my squads on both sides. So I'm going to put the bazooka team on the inside, the marksman squad on the outside. We'll split off an anti-tank team. And then next to platoon HQ. Split off an assault team, put it next to. Take that weapons team and put it in there.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to do slightly different over there. Just slide the mortar team there. So now we have the broad strokes of our plan. Well familiar with my own men. I'm familiar with the map. So we're going to make a final review as to what we're doing. Come on, camera. There we go. I'm a little drunk. You'll have to excuse me. We got first platoon of Dog Company over here on the left, and they're going to just provide a screening force along with Dog Company HQ. Provide a screening force in this hedgerow, engage targets that they think they can destroy, and if faced with German tanks or whatever, they're just going to fall back behind this line, call in artillery on the target, and hopefully destroy it. And if practicable, second platoon HQ and this whole platoon will advance down this road, but that probably won't be at least for about 20 minutes or so. We need to make sure that they're capable of making that move. Everyone else on this side of the map is going to transfer down the road across to this side of the map. And on this side of the map we have the Easy Company HQ, and our first platoon is on this side of the hedgerows. They're going to be bolstered by either some engineers or a machine gun team or two, maybe a mortar, because I'm probably going to split up Turnbull's platoon and leave his support weapons behind while I just use his infantry to exploit whatever gaps we can make. We got our tanks kind of sprinkled about as well. Second platoon HQ is going to hold this line over here, engage targets in this hedgerow opposite until we manage to clear it. And third platoon is going to hopefully exploit the hedgerow, blast a hedgerow gap here, use that hedgerow gap there, and they're going to try to exploit that, get through this enemy hedgerow, which we're going to need engineers for, so that's why I split the engineers into teams. This engineer team here, they're going to blast this hedgerow gap, the tank's going to go through and target the field, provide fire against the new German positions, while the engineers move through, blast through this hedgerow, and allow the infantry to advance. And since there's a tree right there, I'm going to try to blast this gap right here. That'll give me enough room to get the tank through as well. So once this gap here is made, and once that gap there is made, then this entire platoon is going to go through. Just going to stack them up. Bazooka first in case we run into a tanks, and the sniper next to provide support. The mortar team, I'm going to go with them, so I'm going to make sure they undeploy so that they can move. The machine gun team is going to go with them as well. And the idea here is that the mortar and the machine gun team are probably going to prop themselves in this hedgerow here to provide fire support while the rest of the platoon either advances down the inside of this hedgerow, or if that hedgerow over there is occupied by the Germans, we're going to have to wait until we can get the tank into position here to blast those positions apart, and then we can advance. And that platoon is going to advance down this road, deploy along this hedgerow at least a little bit, and take any remaining Germans in this field in the flank, which will allow the entire rest of the company, once they're freed of any Germans in the front, to advance across this field, hit this hedgerow, and then we're going to push on from here, either across this field or we'll finish pushing across this field. And our main access route to the objective is going to be through this road gap here, or what we can do is bring up another engineer team and blast a hedgerow gap wherever we need to in order to advance up the side of the objective. And we're going to hit the objective from this direction, and we're going to clear it from behind and in the flank, because I can only assume that there's Germans behind these hedgerows, and unless they fall back into the objective, if we can actually manage to get lined up on this road, we can easily clear any remaining German positions out of this area and thus secure the objective, whereupon I'll probably just ask for a ceasefire unless the Germans surrender first. Now, that is the broad strokes of the plan. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't even know if the recording came out very well, but I don't know. We'll see. if there's problems, I'll try to fix it in post or re-record it. But that's pretty much the broad strokes of my plan. I know the terrain pretty well. There's a few gaps here and there, but I'm going to need to stack my engineers on this right-hand side in order to create as many gaps as I can through these hedgerows. And that's pretty much it. We're going to conduct an attack in oblique order. I'm going to pin the enemy from the front. I'm going to load one side of the map with as much spare forces as I can and try to effect a breakthrough and capture the objective. Anyway, I hope this video has been informative. I've never really made these commentary videos before, so I don't really know what I'm doing yet. But if you like it, please comment on it. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask. And if you want me to make more of these, let me know. I'll try to put more commentary in my videos. I know some of you don't like captions, but personally I find it easier. That's all well and good. Anyway, I'll see you.